Que Paso, amigos? This is Jaime En Fuego from Enfuegotainment, and I'm bringing you here on October 2nd 3 more episodes from Tales from the Crypt. That's right, this is something I'm doing throughout the entire month of October. I am basically going 3 episodes per day to hit that wonderful number of 93, which is how many episodes Tales from the Crypt, the beloved anthology series of mine, actually hit before it was finally no longer on HBO. So here on Enfuegotainment, we like to cover the Bueno, the Malo, and the Feo. And so for these 3 episodes, I'm basically choosing, and this is at the tail end of the first season. First season was only 6 episodes, and so of these final 3, I'm going to choose one that was good, one that was bad, and one that was just ugly, strange, you know, whatever you want to classify the Feo as. And so starting out, we have the Bueno. That's right, man. And this was one that I had seen as a kid, but I did not remember very well. This is called Lover Come Hack to Me, and this is from the Vault of Fear, issue number 19, you know, because all of these Tales from the Crypt episodes are actually based on EC Comics from the 50s. So, yeah, the EC Comics pissed off a lot of parents, a lot of people, because they were really showing the dark underbelly of just the human condition, period. And this story is no exception. It is right with lots of blood. I mean, probably the goriest of any episode in this first season, maybe? Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a test run with this first season, as I mentioned, and this one definitely took the cake. There are buckets of blood, and it's basically, you got Amanda Plummer, the daughter of Christopher Plummer, and she is just married, and she kind of has the vibe that her husband isn't really in it to win it, doesn't really love her. You know, she's rich, and she's got a mansion, and all this other stuff. So he's a gold digger, as old Kanye would say, and yeah, she's got the vibe from the very start, and you know, there's always a twist, and so we're not going to really say what that is, but yeah, it was directed by Tom Holland, who wrote and directed iconic stuff in the 80s, Fright Night, one of my personal favorites, amazing film. He also wrote and directed Child's Play, created the iconic Chucky character. I mean, Tom Holland is legit as far as, you know, not just 80s horror goes, but just horror in general. And he actually co-wrote this, well, didn't co-write this, he co-wrote a lot of stuff with the guy who actually wrote the screenplay for this, Mr. Michael McDowell, and this dude had tons of history on all of those anthology horror shows in the 80s. It was big, big money in the 80s anthology horror. I mean, you had everything from the Freddy's Nightmares to, you know, they relaunched the Twilight Zone, but Michael McDowell also did, you know, he did Monsters, he did Tales from the Dark Side, he did Alfred Hitchcock Presents. So I mean, there was real talent behind this. It's bloody, it's kind of cheese at times, but once it really builds up some steam, the twist is great. So yeah, this is most definitely the bueno of the selections today. I gotta say, Amanda Plummer is great, and the Canadian husband of hers, whose name I can't remember, he's much less noteworthy, but he still does a great job despite looking like a long-haired Nathan Fillion. So take that for what it's worth. Next up, we have the Malo. Yeah, that's right. And the Malo is actually going to be the 6th and final episode of the first season of Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, that's right. This one was directed by Mary Lambert, and she was on a hot streak at the time. Well, not a hot streak. I mean, she was coming off a winner. She had basically just directed Pet Sematary, which, in my opinion, amazing adaptation of one of my absolute favorite Stephen King books. And so I'm assuming based on that, that's why she was able to, you know, get this particular episode, because she was a hot name at the time. It was 1989. She had just done the film. It's not a bad story. I mean, just because it's my Malo doesn't mean it's bad necessarily, but it's too goofy. I mean, everything from, it's basically, to give you a short gist of it, there's a husband who after 47 years is retiring, and his wife is crazy. She lives at home with all of these adopted cats, dogs, there's like birds, there's squirrels, she's got fish. I mean, she really needed something to pass the time when he was not home, and there's a disconnect between the two of them, and yeah, it's very evident from the get-go. And you know what? Despite her craziness, you really sympathize with the husband. You know, she's kind of cramping his style, or at least I did, and until he goes off the deep end, you really do sympathize with the guy. So, I mean, it's too goofy. It feels very sitcom-y, at least, and they got like the goofy neighbor next door showing up and annoying him, and he's working down in his basement constantly and all this stuff. So yeah, it was goofy. It's just really not very good. It most definitely entails the MALO here. And yeah, this one was actually from the Vault of Horror number 25. So yep, another horror magazine being produced by EC Comics at the time. So yeah, it's not very good. It falls into one of those just kind of forgettable and maybe even regrettable. The twist is good, but yeah, it's just not up to par with the previous one. And this one is called Collection Complete, because I think I forgot to mention that. So lastly, it is time to segue into the Feo on my beloved Tales from the Crypt. We're ending the first season with the 4th episode, and ironically, one of the very, very first Tales from the Crypts I ever saw. This one I saw as a kid, and being Christian background and everything, the title stuck out to me. It's called Only Sin Deep. And it stars a very beautiful yet very bitchy Leah Thompson, and I had my fair share of fantasies about her, when I was a kid. Back to the Future, I mean, he's like, you're my mom, and all that stuff. Yeah, she's a babe, and the thing is, she's playing a real, just kind of scandalosa prostitute, man, in this. It's New York City, she's 21, she's whoring herself out, but she dreams of entering high society and finding herself a man, and so she decides to make a little sale with kind of I guess he's like a voodoo pawnbroker or something, and yeah, she makes this deal. We're not going to elaborate what it is, but she essentially, after this deal, she gets some money, she finds her man, and stuff really kind of goes south from there. And this one is from The Haunt of Fear as well. This is number 24. That was where it was based, and it was directed by Howard Deutsch. I'm probably not pronouncing that name correctly. Ironically, this is just the same scenario we saw with Robert Zemeckis in the 2nd episode, and All Through the House, where it's a guy putting his wife into the story. It's happened a lot with directors. James Cameron, I mean, man, the list goes on and on. These directors, they always end up marrying their it's very strange, marrying their actresses. It's kind of odd, but she gives a hell of a performance, I gotta say. And the reason for the Feo is kind of a tongue-in-cheek if you've seen this episode before. If you have not, after the fact, you will definitely know. But there's tons of F-bombs. There's there's some scandalousness, as I mentioned, scandalosa. And yeah, it's weird having Howard Deutsch do this for the sheer fact that he was a John Hughes protege. So he had done like Pretty in Pink and Some Kind of Wonderful. So yeah, an odd choice, but yeah, it's definitely a good episode. It's one that I recommend because the twist is good. It's not going to have the same gore factor as, the first story we mentioned, the Bueno one, the Lover Come Hack to Me. But yeah, Only Sin Deep is a really solid Tales from the Crypt episode, despite having kind of a Feo twist and, just having a lot of ugliness. I mean, how can you not have ugliness with a chick who's playing a New York prostitute trying to enter high society? And I will mention the twist is nothing like Pretty Woman, so, don't go in with those hopes. So, in any event, guys, this is going to be the end of October 2nd and the second 3 episodes here in the month of October that we're covering, or that I'm covering, I should say. We are covering together for Enfuegotainment. So, I want to extend a grande gracias to all you guys, and I look forward to talking with you tomorrow about, yes, that's right, I'm looking at the timer, making sure I'm not going too over. Tomorrow we will be talking about the 2nd season, first 3 episodes of the 2nd season of Tales from the Crypt. I have been Jaime En Fuego. Find me on all social media sectors, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and I look forward to talking about some more Tales from the Crypt with you mañana, October 3rd, here on Enfuegotainment. Gracias, and see y'all sin amigos soon.